Welcome to The Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of The Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to The Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. Over the years, you've heard me share that people are special. Each one of us are special in our very own way. No more special than anyone else, but no less special either. And we all have a unique combination of gifts and talents that no one else in the world has. Sometimes you need to get out there so people know you're available to them. You have to step out in a way that you might not have thought you ever would. You have a message to share. There's a meaning in your life that needs to get out into the world. Today's guest is going to share how you can do that through speaking. And his career has been built on learning how to give you all the tools that you need to share your message in the world. You might not believe you have a message, but there's things that are important to you in your life. There's things that you know you're meant to share. You're here to make a difference. You're here to solve problems. As we share in many of our courses, you are living a life that you're meant to live. And it's important for you to live it as fully as possible. So uncover your gifts and talents and be ready to share your message with the world, because there's people out there looking for it. I'm with Blair Nichols today, and Blair is the Director of Stages for Advance Your Reach. He oversees the stage agency connecting entrepreneurs and business owners with stages that will grow their business. He has a deep expertise in developing speakers for corporate events, conferences, and other thought leadership opportunities, including internal and external communications. As a manager, coach, and consultant, he enjoys helping diverse individuals and socially driven companies foster new strategies for operations, communications, business development, and partnerships across all appropriate areas to further develop and enhance their bottom line and brand. Blair Nichols, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Yes, I am. Thank you, Vince.
You're so welcome, and thank you for joining us today. You know, the imagination has had an opportunity to see a lot of your work in action with some of the guests that I've had, especially over the last few months. I was wondering if you could share a little bit more about you, Blair, and a little bit more about what you do at Advance Your Reach.
Sure. You know, I've been working in the speaking industry my entire career. It's not something that I set out to do when I was in college or even something I was really aware of. But my first job out of college was at HarperCollins, the publishing house, and they were the first publisher to have an in-house speakers bureau. So I started as an assistant helping the director there book their authors for speaking engagements. So fielding requests and also, you know, going out and reaching out to other organizations that may want to pitch or that may want to book our authors for speaking engagements. So I got started with the publishing world and how authors all really had a platform now because they published a book to get out there and speak. So over the next several years, I moved to bigger agencies. I worked with celebrities and authors and journalists of all different types and with different publishing houses, and really got kind of embedded in this world of paid keynotes and people who speak at corporations or libraries or other things, but always with a fee attached. That was in New York for most of my career. Then I moved out to LA and I worked with Keith Ferrazzi, who's an author and thought leader who wrote Never Eat Alone and Who's Got Your Back. And I was his speaking manager and chief of staff for a few years. And that's where I learned that speaking was more than just a way to get a paycheck for a keynote fee and to, you know, sell books, which was always kind of the bottom line for our publishing partners. But really, it was a business development tool tool. So with at Frosty Greenlight, we really use speaking as an opportunity to get inside or involved with companies or organizations that could hire us for longer term engagements. So I was always thinking strategically about where my boss would be speaking, what the opportunities may be, and trying to position that speaking opportunity for longer term engagements. From there, I finished my MBA at UCLA, and I had left that firm to kind of pursue other things and kind of try my hand at other parts of media and film. But as things happen, it led me back to the speaking world. And when I finished business school, I landed at the Big Speak Speakers Bureau, where I helped them build their exclusive talent list. So I found myself back in kind of that world of authors, celebrities, business leaders, folks like that were really looking as speaking as, sometimes just a supplemental thing for their business, and others that it was really a driving force for their business. When I left there, 10 days later, Advance Your Reach reached out to me to tell me about this position. And what was really exciting about it to me was that Pete Vargas, our CEO, who's an amazing speaker and who's done a lot to help boost speakers and get people familiar with how the stages business works and how they can grow their business through getting on stages. He blew my mind because he was talking to me about why paid keynotes are not really the best strategy for leveraging speaking to grow your business, and why there's so many other opportunities to speak that can help you build your business by, growing your client list, getting in front of big audiences, and even these opportunities to actually sell a product or service, which is something you can never do when you're getting paid to speak at an event. So it really was kind of an aha moment of, wow, there's a lot of this world in this business, in this industry that I've been missing because I've been kind of focused in this area of kind of the prestige speakers or the headliner speakers and leaving out all these other opportunities where far many more entrepreneurs and business owners are leveraging speaking to build their businesses and aren't as concerned about getting, the top keynote fee each time. So I joined Advance Your Reach because we are launching our agency. As you mentioned, you've been awesome to bring on a bunch of our clients who are looking to, get new exposure and share their message with the world and inspiration. And I was just excited to have the opportunity to build a new business model of a speaking agency that really is focused on getting people on the right stages in front of the right audience in a proactive way, as opposed to a lot of speakers who are reaching out to us at the bureaus who wanted to be represented or wanted to be on the site thinking that that was going to be the shortest route to getting on stages, but really they just become one of many. They become a commodity. They become one of hundreds or dozens on a site that the bureau is hoping maybe will attract interest, or maybe they'll just be able to pull from to suggest to a client when appropriate. But really there's no proactive pitching going on for the vast majority of those speakers. Really they don't have anyone dedicated to them to pitch them to the right stages. So I felt like this was a big gap in the marketplace that we could fill, and it's been awesome this year to see it grow, even in the spite of all the challenges that 2020 has brought.
The interesting thing that you shared, Blair, was the fact that you really just kind of got pulled into this world, and it just kind of rolled along for you. You were moved in the right places at the right time. Could you share how, in developing all these gifts and talents that you have that you're bringing to Advance Your Reach right now, how the doors open for you?
Sure. Yeah, it's really interesting how I kind of landed in this spot, and I think you're right that I did kind of just keep surfing the wave as it came along. I was a literature major in college, and I had no idea what I was going to do with that. I was a big reader my entire life, and I thought maybe I'd be a lawyer or something else. Everyone always asked me if I was going to be a teacher, and I knew I definitely didn't want to be a teacher. And about sophomore year of college, I found out that the publishing world existed. I'm, embarrassed to say that I just didn't really have an awareness of the business of publishing. And when I realized that was an option, I was just dead set on that's what I was going to do. But I didn't really know what was going to be the right fit for me. I interned for a lit agency in D.C. because I went to college in Washington, D.C. I worked at the Penn Faulkner Foundation, and just kind of anything that got close to authors, and one of my professors told me that I should be a publicist. And I thought that sounded pretty interesting. I didn't really like the agency side, reading tons of manuscripts, and that was just too much solo time, and it just, most of them, were kind of discarded. So it didn't seem like that would be a really fun way to get in, and publicity sounded interesting. It was like, okay, we're getting authors on media, and like that sounded kind of exciting. So I actually went to the Columbia Publishing course right out of undergrad. It's they take 100 students who basically just graduated college and 6-week summer camp to help them get into the publishing industry. And that was how I got my start. I did, we did kind of a model UN of building a publishing house, and I was the publicity manager for my team. And then the guy who was our faculty member actually was the director of the HarperCollins Speakers Bureau. And he thought, he was impressed, I guess, with my work or my, my ideas, and asked if I would be interested in interviewing to be his assistant. And, I didn't know what the Speakers Bureau was or what the speaking industry was at all. But, it sounded to me, and he described it as kind of a mix between being an agent and a publicist because of this hybrid model that they'd created. So that was my first introduction, and I kind of just fell into it. There's only 3 of us in the entire department. There was probably, maybe a dozen people in the publishing industry specifically that was doing something like this. So there wasn't a whole lot of us. So a couple years later, when I was looking to make a change or just see where I could advance my career, there was an opportunity at Greater Talent Network, which is now owned by UTA, it's the 4th largest talent agency in the world, and they were looking for a speaking agent for authors. And being all of 24 and thinking that I had tons of experience already, I said, well, that's me. I do that, except I also do some of this administrative stuff and some of this other stuff. So I went and interviewed, and it turned out that he was actually looking for someone to run the Speakers Bureau for Hachette Publishers and Simon & Schuster Publishers at the same time, because they were both partners with this agency. And again, being the very confident 24-year-old that I was, I said, no problem. I've got all this experience and I can absolutely do that. So I kind of just jumped in, fake it till you make it, and, started developing relationships with both those publishing houses, meeting with their editors and publicists, and just getting deeper into honing my skills on picking talent. And that's what I really loved. I loved picking the authors that had something that I think this is really hot in the marketplace right now. I mean, big names obviously attract attention, but a lot of the big names already had agents. They already had speakers bureaus. They weren't really available to me. So I always had to kind of go for the B or the C list and kind of pluck the diamonds from the rough. And it was kind of fun to see new people come to life and see new people kind of emerge as great new speakers out there. I started to realize that anyone could really, there's, an audience for everyone, but there's not a huge paying audience for everyone. So just started to refine that. After a few years of that, and every quarter getting a dozen or more new clients and kind of shouldering all of those people in my small department at this agency, that also kind of wore me out. And I decided, you know what? If I'm going to keep doing this, I want to be a manager. I want to be someone that works with a few people and do a lot for them rather than a lot of people that I do very little for. So if I'm going to do that, I better get an MBA because I'm just a lit major, and what do I know? And I better do that in LA because I'm just in New York, and what is New York when LA has everything else? So I serendipity again kind of intervened, and I had applied to business school, and then I got recruited to come and work for Keith Ferrazzi. So before I even made up my mind to move to LA, I got recruited for a job that moved me there and shifted me into the part-time MBA program instead of doing it full-time. And that, again, as I mentioned in my kind of intro, that's what introduced me to speaking as a whole new tool, as a whole new way for people to leverage it. He was an author, of course, but it was not really, the point was not just to get the keynote fees. So that, all these things that happened, and then business school obviously was a big opportunity for me to really expand my mind and my, hone my skills in other ways and figure out, okay, how do I keep making these next steps? And I at the time I thought, maybe I'm just better at talent management when it comes to HR. Maybe I should try to go work for Amazon or one of these big companies, maybe that's going to be where I'm meant to be with developing talent, because that's kind of the same thing. But in my heart, I knew really that wasn't really what I wanted. I'm kind of a creative type. I wanted, that management role that I really thought was right for me. So I joined an agency and got myself involved in helping develop their talent. And so I started to, again, get back to working directly with speakers, authors, and just leveraging that time there as an agent at Big Speak to, build connections with people that I could develop and could help introduce into the speaking market and really see if this is what I wanted to do. And while I was there, I had the fortune of reaching out and booking a meeting with Molly Bloom. The movie Molly's Game had just come out. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, this person has to be out there as a speaker. And because of my connections in publishing, I was able to get in touch immediately with her publicist at HarperCollins, where I'd worked. And they put me in touch with her other publicist. And, before I knew it, we were sitting down and I was pitching her on why we would be the best agency for her. And we just we fell in love. And so I got to work with her, we signed a contract before the Oscars even happened, and then after the Oscars started getting her out there as a keynote speaker. I got to travel the world with her and kind of really see if I could even launch someone, not just find someone who's already out there as a successful speaker and book them more. So that experience really kind of taught me that this is really where my heart's at. This is where my passion's at. I want to be able to pick who I work with and who I really want to help spread their message to the world, because I think they've got something important to share, because I find them inspiring, because they align with my values. And that's kind of what's led me to where I'm at today. Advance Your Reach is working with a much broader group of authors and entrepreneurs. They're not all authors. They're all entrepreneurs, though, and business owners. And I love that about what we do. And it's a really diverse group. I really like working with people of all different types. I was speaking with someone who's one of our students last week who's a plumber, but who has used social media to build his business so much that he's invited to speak at all these social media conferences. Like, you wouldn't think that. But there's so many different people out there that are using speaking successfully. And because I've been in all these different types of roles and kind of all the different places surrounding the industry, I just love helping any individual or any group of people figure out what's the best strategy for them, what's the best audience, what's the message, and then how do we go to market to really help them build that speaking business. So all those little kind of twists and turns along the way have just kind of kept bringing me back to the same thing, but like you mentioned, just kept strengthening my skills and kind of honing my skills more and more.
At Imagine Miracles, Blair, we define miracle as using your gifts and talents in a way that others can use theirs. And that's exactly what you're doing. You're bringing all this experience, the love of the game, shall I say, into helping these entrepreneurs now step out into sharing themselves in the world. What would you say that your mission is, or what we call your divine intent? What do you think that is?
Yeah, well, so, you touched on it a little bit in my bio. When I was at Big Speak, and what I've seen in the industry in general, and like a lot of industries, is that the speaking market has been dominated by the same type of person, and that's predominantly an older white male, probably an executive, an author, a leadership type person, and that's really been the dominant people for a long time. So it's been kind of my mission to introduce more and more diversity into the market, to promote people who come from a different background, to bring more women into the world and help promote other people. And I also really love socially driven entrepreneurs and businesses. I've worked with people who have amazing social enterprises who've leveraged their speaking for not just building their own brand, but really the good of people all over the world. So now that I've had the opportunity to work with so many different types of speakers and business owners and entrepreneurs, I really love those types of people in particular, the underrepresented people and the people who are using their business and their lives to help others, to promote a change in the world, to make for a better society. So that's really my passion, is to really try to focus on people like that.
So in being the manager or the director of the stage for Advance Your Reach, there's a lot of opportunities to meet some really interesting people who, are truly coming from the heart. Most of the entrepreneurs that I've experienced that have come from Advance Your Reach are very heart driven in many ways. Do you go beyond what you're doing at Advance Your Reach in your coaching and consulting, or are you strictly with Advance Your Reach now?
Yeah, so Advance Your Reach is my primary gig, as I like to say. Running this agency and building this agency is my primary role, and bringing in new people for that is really important. We've got an elite level, so we can serve as kind of a bureau alternative for speakers who are looking for just maybe a different model that's not solely based on commission, that's not really reliant on them driving all of the demand. But we can also serve just a huge, wide variety of other speakers that are not going to get the attention of a speakers bureau, who are not going to get a lot of traction if they wait for those types of agencies to potentially put them on a proposal or something like that. So I think in my work with Advance Your Reach, I'm getting to coach and consult at the same time as kind of the business operations of this agency and how it works, so that our strategy for each client is, kind of designed by myself and my partner Dolores Hirschman, and so we get to bring both of our skills and expertise to that. Outside of that, I do a bit of coaching and consulting with others and managing people that I've had a relationship with for a long time, and that's just where I get to scratch more of my creative itch. I get to do other things with them, like develop courses or help them build their business beyond speaking and how speaking is a leverage for that. Whereas at AYR, we teach people about scale. We teach them about the different components of being successful on stages, but that's not, we don't go as deep on all of that stuff all the time with them. So I like to do all the things, and so with outside of AYR, I do a little bit more in depth coaching and consulting. But inside of AYR, that's all part of being part of the agency. We get our guidance, you get our strategy, you get our minds on demand, but I'm not gonna write your course, and I'm not gonna design all the other things that you may want to sell or offer. But we're gonna help you think about what are the right pieces in place and how to put them into a funnel so that you're really getting the most out of all the stages that we're able to bring you.
I know everyone's different, and everybody has their different sets of gifts and talents to bring to the world. I teach it and I share it, so I should know it and accept it. But let me ask you this: what do you think the common denominator is in someone that could come to you at AYR and truly step into more of who they are? What's the common denominator?
Sure. Well, like you said, a lot of these people really have a message, have something from their heart that they want to share. One of my bosses at GTN, he always said, speaking is not a vocation, it's an advocation. So it's not just about getting paid. It should be about something that serves your mission in life, your purpose in life. And I think that's pretty common among the people that we work with and that we serve. But also the people who are really successful are the people who kind of have all the three components that we teach. They've got a great signature talk. They've really honed in on what their story is and how to connect with an audience and how to really express both their knowledge and content, but also, again, resonate emotionally so that it actually sticks and it actually makes an impact. Then we also talk about like the right assets, getting the right videos, how they can talk about why their message is important, what problem they're solving, and helping them think through what are all the pieces in their speaker kit and all of that they need. But the third component, and the really critical one we feel to be successful on all types of stages, is scale. So that's where having products, whether they're digital products or it's coaching and consulting, whatever it may be, speaking should be a vehicle to really help you promote and grow whatever it is that you're actually selling or providing. I mean, and there's no shame in that. That's a tool for everyone. Everyone, that's out there that's looking to help others isn't trying to do it for free. So they give a lot of free content. They give a lot, away, and we encourage people to give valuable things away. Your audience is hopefully going to get a valuable tool from us today, which I hope they find value in it. But that's the big key. You got to have something on the back end. You can't just walk into, even getting on a podcast and then, just share your name and hope that the floodgates are going to open. You have to have kind of a strategy of how people are going to, take an interest in learning more about you, and then how you're going to follow up with them, and all the other pieces that come after that hopefully then maybe they turn into a customer, maybe they, buy your course, come to your workshop, whatever it may be. That's a really big component that a lot of speakers miss, because they are just looking to get, 100 gigs at $5,000 a year, and that's going to be, their goal, and they're going to run around all over, when we could travel, they're going to run around all over the country collecting those checks, whereas, Pete and I, we like to say, look, rather than 100 gigs, do 10 and make 50K at each of them, so reversing what it is a stage should bring you, and what's the value of the stage, not just the keynote fee and leaving and not maximizing anyone in that audience, but really thinking strategically about the stages where you're going to make a much bigger return on that stage because of the scale and the products and everything you have to offer.
Could you share with the audience a little bit about, and I don't want to go the far end on either side, so maybe the median, if you will. Could you give us a couple, or at least one success story of someone that's in the median?
Sure. Someone who's kind of in the middle of, getting started, but, I'd say the median is people they've done a bit of speaking, but they haven't done a ton, and they probably haven't been paid, so maybe they've started to do some podcasts, maybe they've done some summits, but I think the median client for us is someone that's starting to get out there more and realizing that every time they get on a stage, they're getting 50 new subscribers to their newsletter, or 100 or 200. So they're starting to see their list grow. Those are the people who are building assets. Your email list, your following, these are all assets. Over the last 13 years that I've been in this business, and I know others that have been in it a lot longer, your social media platform, your audience that you bring to the table has become more important than ever. That's what publishers want to see. That's what, other people want to see. If you want to sell a TV show, or you want to do anything to get your platform bigger and out there, they want to know how big your platform and audience already is. So the median speakers who maybe they're not getting paid, but who are getting out on stages and are converting people to want to learn more about them. They're getting people to sign up for their newsletter. They're getting people to opt in to their emails. That's really the median client for us, because we want to get them more exposure so that they are creating demand for their own speaking. We're not an exclusive agency for the vast majority of these people, so they can book any talks they want on their own. We are just with most of them every month adding 10 new stages that we're going after and following up to get them that exposure. And if we do our job well, maybe they don't need us in the future, but we hope that they will continue working with us and grow into one of our elite clients. But that's really the median client, is those people who are kind of on the cusp of getting paid and getting more inbound demand, but are doing it so well that they're organically growing their following every time they get out there and speak.
What would you say to someone who says, well, I don't know if I have a message?
I'd say everyone's got a message. You just, there's a lot of great coaches out there. There's a ton of people who can help you figure out, I've done this with other people, but I think it has to be about what do you really care about? And people who feel like maybe they don't have a message, maybe they haven't done enough work on figuring out what it is that they care about. So we always talk about volunteer with different organizations, serve on a board of a nonprofit, These are opportunities to speak. These are opportunities to get aligned with a cause that you care about, and that could turn into a message that matters to you. I think a lot of times, people who don't feel like they've got anything to say just haven't realized how much knowledge they already have, and with some questions and probing, it's pretty easy to figure out that they've got expertise. One good thing that, one good way to tell if you've got something to say is there a question that people have asked you more than 3 times? People have asked you, how do you do this? Or how did you do that? If there's something that comes up whether it's family, friends, colleagues, whatever, if people are coming to you and asking you in something that you've explained more than once even, that's something you could write about. Maybe it's not a book, but it could be a LinkedIn article. It could be a Medium article. It could just be a blog post on your own blog. But that's a way to get started to figure out, like, what message, what knowledge do I have? It's what do people come to you about? The name of the game is generating demand. So look at what you already have. What are your, if you're a manager, what are your employees asking you about? What are they seeking guidance about? And try to maybe pay attention and write those things down. And if they come up a lot, then write something about it. And then that's what you can speak about.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing your message. Let me ask you, we're actually running close on time, and you've got so many great things to share, and you've shared so much already. Could you give a kind of a parting piece of guidance for the listeners who are really in that space of wanting to get their message out?
Yeah, I'd say there's never been a better time to start. You have a captive audience of people at home all across the country and the world who, could use your message. Even if you just start with family and friends, and posting on social media, but, experiment with going live. Put together your own mini event, whatever it may be. I think the more you speak, the more you'll speak. I always say speaking begets more speaking. So whether it's an alumni group or your kid's school or your church, wherever it may be that you have an opportunity to just present, volunteer. Obviously, most speakers don't start out getting paid. They speak for free for a long time sometimes, because they want to get out in front of audiences. And the more you get in front of audiences, the more people will come and invite you to speak to their audience. At a bureau, at any agency, more often than not, people who request a speaker, it's because they've heard them speak, someone else has heard them speak and referred them, or they've heard them on a podcast, they've had some exposure. So if you want to build a speaking career, and even if you don't want to build a speaking career, but you've got a message, or you've got a business that you want to help grow, just start. Just start. Even if 2 people watch your Instagram live or your Facebook live, that's a start. And you're developing content and you're honing your message. And I think right now we've got all the tools available and a lot of captive audience to share it with. So that's what I'd say.
Excellent. Appreciate that so much. Could you give the imagination an idea of how they can get in touch with you, learn more about AYR, learn more about Blair Nichols?
Absolutely. So I'd love to give you guys all a free gift today. It's free, but we think it's a pretty valuable tool and resource. It's our digital event checklist. So if you're doing digital events, and again, these can be, online summits, Facebook Lives, Instagram Lives. They don't have to be a big, massive conference or event. So you can go to advanceyourreach.com/send-gift. So SEND-gift. And you can also reach me. I'm just Blair, BLAIR, at advanceyourreach.com, and learn more about what we're doing. I'd be happy to chat. We can chat about the agency or anything else that AYR's got going on, but I hope you'll check out the free gift, get that in your box, and that's just something that'll help you prepare for our events. And maybe if you've never done one, just download it and check out kind of what is involved in getting ready for a digital event. What does that look like? So then it's just a good tool to maybe help get you ready for that. So that is the best way, to learn more about us and to reach out to me.
Well, Blair, thank you for your generosity and thank you for your time today. I appreciate you coming on and sharing so much good information. It's time for all of us to step out and be who we are. It's time for us to know that we're here to share a mission, a divine intent that people need, and you are definitely on track with yours. I can see it in your face. I can hear it in your words. So thank you for what you bring to this world, and thank you for who you are.
Thank you so much, Vince. I appreciate it, and for all you're doing to spread the message of others as well.
Thank you. On behalf of Mary, my business partner, my wife, and the entire Imagine Miracles crew, we want to wish you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 mind-awakening steps toward your unique purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.